Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. It is The System is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and tweets. Dangerous, dangerous tweets. We're talking to Jeremy Kauffman. That's right, he's back, and he's more relevant, I suppose, than ever. And as soon as I find my button, we will bring it. We'll get this all going here and shit. So here we go.
The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Remember a simpler time when it was okay to be weird, have fun, and think for yourself?
Well, those days are over. The art of conversation itself is dead. Sacrificed on the altar of divide and conquer and disguised as political correctness and spared feelings. I believe that unity can only come from truth, and that the only way to find truth is by exploring and embracing our valuable differences and having civil, open-minded, and uncomfortable discourse. Conspiracies, politics, religion, and all the taboo topics are really just praise you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table. We are here to literally change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. So if you're easily offended, put your big girl panties on and buckle up, Buttercup, because you chose to be here. I'm Dan Smots, you are the power, and this is The System is Down.
That's right. It is. You know where you are. You know what this is. You know what we do here. We ruffle the panties and wad the feathers, or whatever. Kill the music. We're gonna get into this really quickly, but before we do, I gotta remind you guys about you guys, my producers, all you in the Downers Club, people like Robin Boswell, Anthony Peebles, Kara something, Javari, Mark Clare, Craig DaCosta, Joe Kabinski. Get easier names if you want to be read on here. Stephen Hartman, Tim Brown, Aaron Stute, Nathan Sipes, Brian McWilliams, David White, Lucas Riley, Mary Rome, Justin Linsky, Liberty something or other, and John Barnhouse. All right, if you want to get your name on that list, you can support the show at patreon.com/The System is Down, where you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content, bonus episodes of the show every single week. Now, let's introduce our guest. He is the one, the only, Jeremy Kauffman. Jeremy, what the fuck are you doing these days, man?
I think, although it wasn't the intent when I started it, I think I'm making the Libertarian Party libertarian again, okay. and actually creating some libertarian unity, as we've got all Amash, Smith, and Cohen all rowing together in support of LPNH, which has caused some drama with LP National, and I imagine we're going to be getting into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you see yourself as the anti-hero of the Libertarian Party at this point, as you're bringing people together? They start out being together against you and your evil, vile tweets, but then when the other villains actually come out, then they kind of unify in defense of New Hampshire. You want to explain a little bit? Yeah.
I will, let me be clear that I was not trying to start anything with National when I did the things that sort of set off this whole chain of events. So that was not remotely anticipated. I tweeted some things so basically, I don't know how far back you want to go. I guess, so I've been a Libertarian Party member on and off, going all the way back to college, and had really gotten disappointed by the Libertarian Party over the last several years. I mean, really going back to Gary Johnson, and I had kind of also lost hope in the Libertarian Party's ability to win even before that. That's part of why I moved to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, where they have a strategy. Liberty's actually working, libertarian concentration, it's actually working, we're actually winning. And so, I kind of have always been skeptical of the LP's ability to win, but I thought that at least what the LP could do is be a libertarian messenger to spread the message of liberty. It's a
small ask. It's a really small ask. Yeah.
To spread what's so special about this philosophy. I mean, it's beautiful. It's it's both morally correct and it produces great outcomes. Private property plus voluntary association, right? Those two atoms, you can let you do all kinds of things, and it's ethically correct, and it's just it works. And And so the Libertarian Party, though, I don't know whether it was out of being captured by people with a different ideology, whether it's out of this quote being pragmatic, that they feel that they need to, sort of compromise on principles. It sort of became this set of sort of like woke neoliberal policy positions detached from the philosophy. Right.
Sure.
And I'm not even going to point at any specific libertarian philosopher. I think like basically anyone in that school of libertarian philosopher is going to put a lot of credence on private property and voluntary association. Right. And so like that's what it's about. And so it was, it was really disappointing to me. I actually left. I had been a member of the party for the last 3 or 4 years. I left when Joe went really woke and wasn't talking about lockdowns and all these other really important issues, right?
Right.
And so I left.
By Joe, do you mean Joe Jorgensen or
Joe
Bishop
Jorgensen?
Hedgeman?
Yeah,
Okay.
Joe Jorgensen. Yeah, sorry, Joe Jorgensen. So I left the party, and then I discovered that there was this Mises Caucus thing. I wasn't really paying attention to it. I gather they've been around for a couple of years. I didn't really discover it until the end of last year.
Sure.
Went out to some of the meetups, met some of the guys, and I was like, these are my people. And they were saying we're going to make the New Hampshire Libertarian Party libertarian again, and it was totally captured by these woke identitarian types who don't neither understand nor particularly care about libertarian philosophy, right? They see it as this way to advance these social issues, was primarily their primary concern.
Right.
And part of the reason this happened, by the way, is almost all of the libertarians in New Hampshire run as Republicans or Democrats.
Right.
And a lot of them get elected, right? So the what was kind of left in the LP was this shell of people who either refused to do that or wanted to control the LP for other reasons. And so I was on board with this. We went into convention. We followed all the rules. We got to notice Sarwark and keep him out of any official status with the party. And I think in doing that, we set off this this chain of events that ultimately led to this fight with National. So after we sort of swept, well, we didn't sweep. Again, the board, the executive committee and so on was mixed between Mises and other types, but we had way more influence than ever before. I was put onto the communications committee.
And that's where
Twitter.
It began. That's where the party started.
That's
where the psyop began, man. I've heard the rumors.
So I probably had some pent up frustration from the Libertarian Party. I was like, this is my chance. I'm going to do some libertarian messaging. I also think there's a strategy by where, if you can be provocative, but also have substance underneath it, you can get people to spread your message for you. Right.
Yeah.
And so there was a serious strategy behind it. I'll talk about one of the tweets, because this is actually one of the most substantive ones. And this was that Republicans, Republicans complain about wokeness, but they don't have any solutions. Libertarians have actual solutions: repeal the Civil Rights Act, or at least several portions of it, end disparate impact, end affirmative action. This is a straightforward libertarian principle. It's about voluntary association. It's also a substantive policy answer. Right? A lot of wokeness, the reason that wokeness has taken over HR and diversity and inclusion is taking over institutions across the country, is because a lot of wokeness is actually mandated by the law. And so there's a substantive article by a guy named Richard Hania. There's also Brian Kaplan has a great article on this called Deregulate Discrimination. So there's a real substantive point. Republicans want to just whine about it and hate on it, right? There's policy answers here. And, and so I tweeted this, and it predictably got ratioed. Libertarians want to, but for the people who actually look at it, who are willing to dive in a little bit, we drove more traffic to these libertarian policy position articles than probably anyone drove to those articles, right? Because that tweet got millions of impressions.
So why are you a racist?
That
was one of I did put out if people had questions. I don't know if we'll have time to get to them, but one of the questions that I got back for you was, why are you a racist? So
look, if you think Charles Murray is too racist for the Libertarian Party, then I guess I might be as well, and that I think some of the things he says are at least plausible. I'm not gonna go to bat for them as 100% true. I'm not that well read, but they seem pretty plausible. And so but nothing like that. I'm not I think I do more I actually do more to fight, racism and these things than most libertarians. I mean, I hire people internationally. I employ multiple people who live in Africa, pay them salaries way above what they'd be making there.
Sure.
So it's like, it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, people want to put you in categories, right? So they have to put you in one bucket. Oh, I don't like what he said, so therefore you must be a racist. And
Right.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, another one, and I don't know if this is the one that got us the most trouble. And this was the one that got the most attention. It said, legalize child labor. Your children will learn more in the workforce than they will in school. And again,
As
I
a
think
libertarian, I mean, it's not the best place, like the most important message that we need to be putting out right now. I understand those criticisms, but it's not like your tweet said, "Hey, I want children to work for me or whatever on my island with Epstein or something like that."
Right. Like the ones that I'm willing to take feedback. I'm not going to say I did everything 100% correct. I actually think the one that is people could is send Gitmo shouldn't be closed because we need to send the governors and Fauci there. That's like kind of edgelording,
right?
And I can see people say, okay, you don't want to edgelord from the official account. The other two they're certainly phrased provocatively, but they are straightforward libertarian positions. They're completely compliant with the platform, and it's and part of what frustrates me so much is like, I want the Libertarian Party to be unequivocally libertarian. And here, like, look, if I diverge from the Mises Caucus, then I diverge from the Mises Caucus. Like, I'm not in the party to take talking points from them. I'm happy to consider them, but I want the Libertarian Party to be unequivocally libertarian. I don't care if we say something that offends people if it's true, because our biggest problem by far is being ignored. Right. And again, we follow up with there's substantial real reasons that this is true. The impacts of schools is not actually that large. Tons of people will tell you they learn way more on the job in these types of trainings than they did in school. And in fact, Fox News ran an article about this TIF, because Gary Johnson even came into the replies and said that's not libertarianism. It's like, fuck you, Gary. You don't know.
This is the guy who ran twice and just disappears for 4 years every time. Yeah, we're going to take your advice.
It's so insane. I mean, the guy regularly contradicts the libertarian platform. Like, I've read the whole platform. I made sure I was from, I'm a nerd. I read the whole platform. I made sure I'm familiar with it because I don't want to actually contradict something that I'm supposed to be representing.
Yeah.
Gary's the one contradicting the platform. Like, libertarians should be mad at Gary Johnson. He is contradicting their platform. We never contradicted the platform in any way. All right. He's the one who's setting off a TIF, contradicting another affiliate and saying something contrary to both every school of libertarian philosophy or politics and the actual literally libertarian party platform. So it's ridiculous, but it got us press. Several people wrote, several news organizations wrote about this. And if you go into the Fox News article, every comment is supportive of our position. People saying, yeah, it's ridiculous. I do wish my children were doing more vocational education, these kinds of things. And so it's like, I don't see how libertarians can look at this and think that it's not a win. I don't really. Obviously they have some very different part of it. I don't know. So anyway,
so what sparked the insurrection? What sparked?
Yeah, so I don't know if there was one in particular, but we also did one about Ashley Babbitt. And look, I think Ashley Babbitt and George Floyd should both be people that the libertarian movement talks about. It's not one or the other. Right. They both were victims of police brutality and illegitimate violence, right? Like, this isn't something where it has to be one or the other. We can talk about both of them.
We're fighting for the rights, for the freedom of not just libertarians plus our former party of Democrat or Republican, but libertarians, Republicans, Democrats, and everything in between. I thought that was kind of the point. And if there's injustice, who cares what their political leaning is?
So this led to some machinations behind the scenes. It was not. So our former chair, Gilletta Jarvis, was involved. As to who else was involved is a little bit unclear. It's certainly Joe Bishop Henchman, the chair of the LP, very clearly involved, possibly Sarwark, possibly some others. Gilletta, kind of made it clear that she got some direction from other people that she hasn't named. So one of the things that needs to happen is an investigation into how all this went down. But what happened was the chair of the Libertarian Party attempted to unilaterally disaffiliate the New Hampshire Libertarian Party and appoint this other one simply because of the tweets. Disregarding all of the NHLP bylaws, disregarding the body of membership, disregarding the Libertarian Party national bylaws. He's not supposed to be able to do this. It's supposed to go to a vote.
You can't just decide, hey, we don't like that tweet you put out, even though it's probably a libertarian tweet. So we're just going. So to like kind of break it down for people a little simpler, there was you guys that were duly appointed your positions in the party, and then the chairperson of the state didn't like that, didn't like what you were doing with the Twitter. So without speaking to you, completely just set up a new party. Is that accurate?
Right. And she had within her power to simply say you're not allowed to tweet anymore. She never did that. Right. Never did that.
Okay. Then she's 100% responsible for all of this.
Yeah. Well, I think, she knew that it wouldn't get supported. She would get overruled eventually. Right. So she kind of
But a coup isn't going to get supported either. So
I don't really know how they deluded themselves into thinking that this would work. I mean, I think that something that happens is that, and this is why trolling can be effective sometimes, is you agitate. When people are agitated, they make mistakes and they do dumb things. Now, I want to be clear in this case, I wasn't trying to troll our own party, but but they were agitated. They tried to make this move. It is completely failing for them. So the first meeting, I mean, I will say the other thing is watching the Libertarian Party machinations. It's in slow motion. We're supposed to be, we're libertarians. We're supposed to be nimble and I would never run a company this way. But so there's all this debate. People use all this formal language. I think it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't know. They seem to like it. The first meeting was last night.
I watched it all this morning. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's it's very simple. They stole shit. Give it back. Period. Why are we pretending we have to go through Robert's Rules of Order here? That something was stolen and we're libertarians. How hard is this?
It doesn't seem like it should be that hard. But even the vote last night actually didn't go all the way through. And so we still don't have our membership database or anything back. Oh, also, I meant to say this at the beginning, but I'll get it in now. I'm just a member of the communications committee. So I'm not on the executive committee. I'm not in a position of leadership. So I just want to be clear that I'm here speaking as myself, retelling these events. I'm not speaking on behalf of LPNH in this conversation. But anyway, now basically all the libertarian heavyweights have come out on our side. It's pretty clear that we're going to win. The other thing that this triggered is it triggered Joe Bishop Henchman coming out and saying, basically, I will use my full power as chair to stop Mises caucus, right? They're not libertarians. And so I think it's really the writing on the wall for him, whether it's now or at the next convention. Because Mises caucus is sweeping all of the almost all of the affiliates across the country.
I'm not quite autistic enough to have dug through all the emails, but can you break down some of the things that JBH said in there? And for those that don't know, this was a gigantic email thread or whatever that was leaked out. Was it intentionally leaked out, or I don't know?
No, this email list is public, so anyone can go and read these emails. I did read the email, but I don't recall precisely the language that was used. He definitely basically said that, he doesn't agree with these people that are, quote, taking over the party. It won't be a party that he can believe in or identify with anymore.
Sure.
And honestly, I mean, I think it's really stupid. There's a phenomenon I'm a big fan of. It's called the narcissism of small differences. I think it's originally from Freud, who kind of sucked, but it's a good idea. And it's this idea that when you're ethnic conflicts and other conflicts in groups, they're always from people who are adjacent to one another, right? Or we don't really hate people far away from us. We hate people who are close to us, but a little bit different from us, right? And so I think that that's like, even as I probably hate on like Sarwark more than anyone. He's more libertarian than like 90% of people. 95% of people, and so I'm not even claiming to be above this phenomenon, but like part of definitely what's going on is, these people feel like, this group is coming in and there's a bunch of conflict. I do wish like they could just get along a little bit more, like libertarianism, even if the Libertarian Party is not, waving the pride flag, like it's still pro-gay rights, because private property and voluntary association is pro-gay rights. It's pro-trans rights. It's pro all of those things by the nature of what those things produces. And so the Libertarian Party.
But have you condemned bigotry today?
I can't stand that pledge. I mean, like, what the whole racism thing. Like, I'm not denying that racism is real, but like, that's not even making my top like 10, let alone, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 problems. Like what is this massive, there's no evidence for racism having like some huge effect, in the world currently. Why are we taking a pledge that we're not racist? How about a pledge that we're not communists? How about a pledge that we believe in private property? How about a pledge that we believe in markets? The average,
Why not take a pledge that we will stop bombing people in other countries? Because that'll solve a lot of what I see as racism, not caring about people that are far away from us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think you have to take a pledge saying you're against the initiation of violence,
even if you're a former Raytheon lobbyist. Hypothetically,
right, exactly. Which Bill Weld never even disclaimed. Right, he ran for office, and it wasn't even like, I apologize. Now that I'm a libertarian, I've seen the light, and so it's like I don't know why you would want to let those people into your party. Something that's important, I think, that a lot of libertarians don't appreciate is like basically how ideas like sort of like propagate through society and gain traction. Like a lot of people form their ideas, like they really do form their ideas by sort of like taking this average or consensus, or like, not most people aren't the types that sort of think things through for themselves. So what you actually want to do is be collecting as much of the people who are willing to think things through for themselves, get them really persuaded that this is correct, so that they'll be those ideological rocks, right? Like I'll go into a room of 100 people who disagree with me and I don't have a problem, I'm not saying I'm going to win every debate or whatever, but I'm going to hold the libertarian position. I'm extremely persuaded that it's correct, right? And so getting more people like that is how you get more normies. You don't go right to the normies, because the normies will just float back away.
Right. The normies have a party. Yeah. They have a normal party. It's fine.
Yeah. So the way you grow from 1% to 5% is not the way you grow from 30% to 50%. And you shouldn't be selecting for the kind of person that's going to get you from 30 to 50 when you're at 1. You need to be selecting for a different kind of person.
Yeah. Do you regret any of the tweets? Personal or otherwise?
I don't think so. I mean, I would say that a couple on my personal account, I do think were like badly worded, but there's still a point there.
Like killing 1,000 trans people?
That one. Yeah. I'll explain that one. So
I think I get it, but I think I know what you're going for, but nobody else seems to understand it.
Okay, so first, the people are cropping this picture. It was a response to someone saying transphobia is a bigger problem than the state. Okay, a quote libertarian, right? Saying that transphobia is a bigger problem than the state. So first of all, that's ridiculous. I think no one disputes that's ridiculous. And so what I was trying to say is there's about 40 trans people murdered per year. They're not even murdered disproportionately. Okay, that's another myth. There's 40 trans murders a year. You could multiply that substantially, and it would still be less evil than the state. I stand by that.
Murders a lot more than 40 people a year, whether they're trans or not.
And look, maybe this is, I understand this makes some people uncomfortable, but like I am who I am, and I'm not going to lie about who I am. I don't mind comparing things. I don't mind comparing things that are weird or uncomfortable. And it's not about making trans people. You can make it about white Jews. I don't care. I'm happy to entertain the ideas. I don't get emotionally riled up very easily. And so I'm happy to talk about it or think about it or whatever. Okay, you might not be that way. Don't fucking follow me then. Don't pay attention to me. Like, I'm not going to say that. I get it, right? Like, I get that some of these things are not going to be popular with, normies or whatever.
Right.
Fine. I'm not, it's my personal account. I'm trying to hang out and interact with other people that think like me, or at least have some of these qualities.
Other people that want to kill trans people, Jeremy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with my personal account. I'm not speaking on behalf of the LP. I'm not a candidate. I'm nothing. Okay. I'm one member of the communications team. So, I think it's just now Mises, I think has vastly been in support of me, but I will say some of them haven't been. And it's crazy because this is the exact same kind of like personal statement, policing that they're against in other contexts. And same with the messaging stuff, right? They're saying, so I do think they kind of need to figure this out. I have a lot of respect for Dave Smith. I think he's a great messenger, but is if you're saying that, hey, these are the only topics we can talk about, right? That's just pragmatism from a different angle. You're just saying, I think it's more pragmatic to talk about this issue than this other issue. And so maybe that makes me a radical and not a Mises. I don't know. I don't even claim to understand all the caucuses with a lot of precision, but it's like, I want the Libertarian Party to not apologize for any libertarian belief, regardless of how unpopular it is. That is that's what I want. And I don't care, right? I want the Libertarian Party to represent what I believe and to represent libertarianism. Right. Okay. And look, and here's the thing that's implicit in all this stuff. And this is why I'll bring it back to this is why I'm a free stater. The fact that what libertarians need to recognize of all stripes is that libertarianism is fucking unpopular. It is. Okay. It's beautiful to us. It's beautiful to you and me. Right. But we like it in the way that we prefer strawberry ice cream. And a lot of people are going to like vanilla and chocolate more. And they're never going to come around to liking strawberry. You're not going to logic them into liking strawberry. And that understanding is what led me to become a free stater, because it said, well, okay, there's enough people who like strawberry. We can get together. We can get on the same team. We can work together, and we can stop being dominated by people who like vanilla and chocolate. And so, that's
I see what you're doing there.
Reason.
You're using code words. This vanilla chocolate stuff. I'm on to you. There's some racial diversity.
No.
In there
It's about preferences. Like, I'm going to be doing some of the stuff I'm giving you is going to be at my debate in Porkfest. This is like,
cool.
This is, if Angela watches this, she can use it to get ready. But it's like, we are different. We're different. Like, people aren't the same. People are not blank slates. That's not how people work. And there's not some magical set of arguments that will make people libertarian. Now, we overlap with most people. Like, everyone thinks murder is wrong, but when you get into certain trade-offs, okay, if you're a libertarian, if you have that libertarian philosophical moral inclination, then you thought lockdowns were one of the most offensive things to ever happen to people in this country. Okay, 80% of people loved them. Or 7, whatever the number is, right? Some vast majority of people love them. Okay, like, what's the, at a certain point, you have to realize that, like, one of the things I've been working on actually is like libertarian identity politics. So I'm against identity politics, but I'm for libertarian identity, because we have to realize that we're actually a little bit different from other people. And that's just a reality. And we can't make other people like us. What we can do is do what other dominated minorities have done, is say, hey, we're people too. We believe these things. We believe them genuinely. This is our experience. And we deserve the ability to live the way that we want to live. Because I think we do. And there's enough people who share these values that we ought to be able to live that way. But the idea that, like, we're going to convince people, and I think even Dave Smith gets this. He doesn't say, oh, I'm going to win, right. Everyone kind of gets it. And it's like, so why are we still playing this game like we're going to win elections across the country? It's a stupid idea. What we need to do is physically concentrate so that we can actually win.
And I think it was Angela McArdle who said the role of the LP is to be shit-posting philosophers or something like that. It's shit-posting prophets or something. So ironic that she's which I can see both sides of this. I understand the stir up emotion and shit that you're doing to get attention. I think it's working to some degrees, and I also understand the people who are running for office being like, do I have to explain that one too? Really?
Well, that's not. I mean, which one? Like child labor one is a great one. Like if you're a libertarian candidate, you are getting ignored. The press doesn't call you. If the press is calling you and saying, "Do you support child labor?" Okay, say it differently. Say it in your own words. This is a chance to get in the news and explain this beautiful philosophy to the people out there who have only ever had vanilla and chocolate, who have never tasted strawberry.
You're opening the door for conversation for them. It might, if anything, it'll probably help them get noticed. Yeah,
I mean, that's why. I mean, because think about your progression to being a libertarian, or anyone who's listening, think about your progression to be a libertarian. Like, it was not. Almost certainly was not this like deeply reasoned thing where you were like, oh, previously you thought these things and you were like, actually, now I think these other things because these arguments are so good. Like what it really was like you got introduced to the ideas in some form, whether it was a book or anything, and you're just like, this kind of clicks. This kind of makes sense to me. And it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It can take time because you have to get away from where you were previously, but it's about getting that exposure to the ideas because for certain people, when they're exposed to them, they do actually like them and fall in love with them. And so, that's what I want is more moments to get exposure to these ideas, to get them to the people who have these inclinations, but have never experienced them.
Gotcha. Now I know you got to get going here pretty soon. Do you have time for a few questions from the audience or no?
Yeah, we can do a couple. I need to be done in about 10 minutes. Okay. I'll also say I'm happy to take feedback. Like I'm really not here saying I've done everything, perfectly. So, I'm very open to it.
Yeah, my feedback, I feel like I've already stated, and it's pretty obvious. Like, my feedback is I don't go quite that edge, but certain people do go that edge. And as long as you're willing to explain and back up your position on why you're saying things, and it's not like, oh, yeah, I said that thing, and it's because I'm a racist, then if you've got a reason, then who cares?
Yeah, well, you're talking about my personal account or the LP?
I don't know. I can't keep track of your
that's
shit,
the thing is people got to keep. I mean, people have to keep. I think people have to keep these separate.
Yeah.
Because on the LP ones, it's funny. Also, people say, you guys are going too far sometimes. But you ask them which one went too far. They're like, oh, well, I liked those two, but that one sucked. And it's not always the same one.
Right.
So like I hear some people who are like, oh, I liked these other ones because they were policy substantive, but I didn't like that you're saying governors should be sent to Gitmo. And other people are like, I loved sending governors to Gitmo, but I didn't like children should be allowed to work. Right. And so it's like, well, okay.
What do you do? Can't please everybody. Yeah. Matthew Ryan Butts has a million questions for you. First one being, are black people inherently less intelligent than white people?
I don't know the answer to that question. What we do know is that at the time of adulthood and at school age, we see vast gaps that continue and persist for all time, right? So if you're looking at something like, why is there such a large black-white income gap, you can see that there are measurable differences among the populations at the time of adulthood. It says nothing about individuals, okay?
Sure.
So mean values of a population say nothing about individuals. I'm not suggesting prejudice. But that's like as clearly, that's so well documented, it's essentially indisputable.
Okay. So you're saying
all the government data, all private data.
Statistics might show something, but that it's not really up to you to decide, really.
Yeah, this is true of anything, right? Like it doesn't. If men are taller saying men are taller than women on average is not a statement that all women are all women are shorter than all men.
Sure.
Okay. And the reason this is an important thing to understand is, if you don't understand it, there are a lot of outcomes that look like they must be driven by racism. Right. So if you say, oh, wow, look at these income gaps between black and white people, and you think that the populations are completely the same, then racism is a very logical explanation to reach to. If you know that there are differences in mean ability across those populations, then these differences become more understandable. And I'm not saying racism doesn't exist either.
Gotcha. He also asked, would he murder 1,000 trans people if it meant he didn't have to pay taxes? Did he get that tweet right?
Again, like I personally would probably not do that. I'm pretty deontological about it. I don't know. That's a tough hypothetical. How am I pressing? But look, I mean, I already explained this one. Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, I think the state is more evil than 1,000 murders.
So you can't definitively say that you would
Would
not
I personally do
murder
it? That's a tough
1,000 people.
But see, this is
to
what I'm
not
saying.
have to
I'm
pay
willing to
taxes.
entertain that hypothetical. I mean, I whatever that part of my brain that makes me a little bit different. I'm like, well, okay, I'll think about that. I mean, I don't know.
That
I'm not
is a
saying
lot
I'll
of
do it.
money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's not money for me. Well, so I mean, actually, and this is where I very much dislike the state. So in that test of do you hate the state, like I find it very distasteful. What
Sure.
I don't feel is that what I've come to realize is that it's distasteful to me and it's not distasteful to others, right? And it comes back to that thing. It's like lockdowns were very distasteful, like very, very gross to me. They weren't gross to others. And so it's like, I actually would not push the button to abolish the United States government because a lot of people want it. What a much saner thing to say is, well, I'd press the button to abolish it in some area, right? Like if I could press a button to destroy the government in 10 square miles or 50 square miles or something.
Can I press it and
press
ensure that everybody will be magically happy when I do? And
well,
everybody
they won't
will
be.
Exactly.
They won't be.
Yeah. Gotcha. So let me see. And he did say, for the record, my beef is with his personal tweets. He's a fucking moron. Another question he asked you was, why is he fucking retarded? I don't know if we need to address those.
Obviously, that's an individual who's seriously considering these ideas and came in with an open mind.
Yes. Chris Kofer asks, why did he harass? Who is it? Who'd you harass? Why did he harass a minor on Twitter? I think it was this person that you said to suck my dick last night.
I didn't harass a minor on Twitter. A minor harassed me, and if I don't care if you're 17, if you say something dumb to me, I will insult you back. I don't care. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. He tried to say, oh, they asked if they asked him to stop, and he wouldn't. He kept harassing, and I was like, when did they ask him to stop? And the answer was, what was it? Have a nice day. I was like, that's not asking to stop. That's mic dropping. That's saying fuck you, basically. That's not. That's poking the bear, if anything.
I continue to do it. I did one response. What happened was this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but he's a great example of the type of libertarian I'm talking about. He came into the party because he or she, I don't even know, came into the party because all they care about is these like woke identitarian issues. Happy to accommodate that person. I think that person has the right to live their life the way that they want to live. But he gave a minute speech last night at the thing. Yeah. You're basically talking about literally attacking me. Okay. Right. And so I typed in chat, I bet this guy would suck my dick. Okay. Because I think that's a funny response and I will defend that response. Okay. And then he came at me on Twitter. So I replied.
So he is the one who opened the conversation here. Well, I mean, if you the conversation yesterday, he opened the conversation. He initiated it by bringing you up. You responded by saying, screw this guy, basically. And then that guy said, oh, you're a pedophile. So it's like he's continuing to escalate it. He's not saying, oh, I'm underage, so you need to please leave me alone, mean man. He's saying, fuck you.
Yeah, look, and I'm not trying to start an age of consent debate, but something that I think is pretty interesting is that, when you say I want to legalize drugs, most people don't think that means that you personally want to do heroin. Okay. Like I think drugs should be legal. I have no desire to do hard drugs. Okay. Yeah. So like, it's ridiculous to say that because someone thinks that something and this is for all X, it's the same thing with the child labor one, right? Like saying I think child labor should be legal doesn't mean I think children should be sent to mines. You're saying I think that the Civil Rights Act should be repealed doesn't mean I think we should discriminate against people solely because of their skin color. Like, so it's like we have to be able to apply that principle consistently, that saying that the government shouldn't do something is not an endorsement that individuals should do it. Right. Again, this is a fundamental aspect of libertarian philosophy.
Absolutely. I'm hesitant to agree with you too much, but absolutely. James Ray says, he has a really long one, but I'll just abridge it and give you the first bit. He says, I won't be listening, but my question would be this. Why not be an honest racist like Daniel Carver from the old, less PC days of the Howard Stern show? Why try to deny the obvious in the face of your own history when you can simply be honestly racist?
I have no idea.
Question.
I have no idea who he's referencing. Look, I don't hide my beliefs. So if acknowledging so it's like, what do you mean by racism? To me, racism is discriminating against people on the basic of innate characteristics. I don't do that. If it's racist to believe that there are possibly group population differences, and this isn't a white supremacy thing, Asians do better than white people. Okay. So in these same tests, and that's why Asians have higher incomes than white people. So it's like,
so you're an Asian supremacist is what you're saying.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, like, again, is it like, men commit more crime? I mean, like, most libertarians are not blank slaters. They don't think men commit more crime because they were socialized to do so. They recognize that there are mean differences in the populations.
Yeah. Anthony Meyer asks, has he sent Archie Flower a fruit basket and written an apology for being a racist yet?
Just going to keep doing these? I mean, what's the point? I will say, Archie...
that one's clearly a joke.
Okay. I've started... Archie's got me blocked because when I started doing, like, when some of these woke ones say these stupid things, I just, like, post a poll in response. I forget what the one I did to Archie was. Oh, he was, like, saying that someone else was like... that, like, they were going to be a transphobic murderer, and I was like, who's more likely to murder someone, like Archie Flowers or the guy that he was replying to? And like 95% of people voted Archie, and then he blocked me.
Wow, classy. I like it.
No, blocking's good. I block people all the time. He should block me, honestly.
Yeah,
he should.
yeah.
I'm not here. Good job blocking me, Archie. That's the right call.
Yeah. Now, Matthew Ryan Butts, I'll give you one more of his because it seems like it might be a semi in good faith one. Like, he genuinely wants to know. He says, does he actually care about our mission? Can you speak to that, and then we'll wrap up there?
Yeah, I don't think anyone who's looked at... I don't know what he means by our mission. I want to see libertarian...
Caucus, I believe, and libertarian. So.
I mean, I want to see libertarianism in my lifetime. I want to live in a libertarian society before I die. So that's my mission. If that mission aligns with your mission, then we're aligned. If your mission is something else, then we may not be. Yeah.
And you got any final words before you give your plugs and tell everybody where they can find all your shit that will get you banned or, overthrown, insurrected in the near future?
Never been banned. Never been censored. I got my first Facebook one in 17 years for not being sufficiently differential to the Capitol riots, and that's the only time I've ever gotten any kind of
I got the same.
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Jeremy Kauffman. It would be great if you could support LPNH. I think we're raising some money for legal fees. There's a GoFundMe. We will get the LPNH Twitter back, I think. So I'll hopefully be back there. And you can follow Mises Caucus NH is where we're tweeting from in the meantime. And I'll also say I'm very interested in getting more libertarians to New Hampshire, and I'm willing to personally work and help you to do that. The organization will as well, the FSP will. But if you are curious about the strategy that's happening here, how libertarians are winning here, I'm happy to talk to you about it one-on-one, anything, because I think it's a way that we can actually win. And so feel free to reach out to me to talk about that.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. I will see you next week at PorkFest, and thanks for giving us some extra time. But you're welcome here, man. It was a good chat. Love having you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just hit pause like 3 times accidentally there, so I don't know what that ending was, but I'm not going to go back and find out. I'm just going to keep on rolling. Jeremy is gone, but I figured I'd speak to this a little bit. I don't understand how people jump to these conclusions about him. I'm not going to say that I have no reason to think that the guy is or isn't a racist, and I don't care. I don't care. If I saw him doing something that was inherently racist or legitimately transphobic or homophobic, I would say, well, that's shitty. But if it's like, I don't know, guys, like jokes and in like controversial topics that are there to stir up controversy to get you talking aren't necessarily 100% a surface level spoon feeding you information. Like the stuff that Jeremy's saying, from what I've seen, is basically just get the government out of this shit. Like that's it. That's it. Get the government out of this shit, and then that opens the door for people to ask questions like, what do you mean by that? And then he can go and explain, which I'm sure he did in the Twitter feeds. But yeah, it's just He's not looking for sweatshop children, obviously. And if you think that, then go ask him about it, and I'm sure he'll tell you that. But frankly, from what I hear, there are sweatshops even in other countries that children want to work in because it's the only way that they can make any money. Or, I'm not going to talk out my ass too much here because I know that this is going to be a place that people are going to come interested in canceling me as it is. But we don't always know everything and the way things work in the world or the things that people are thinking. It's as simple as that. Just talk to people. Try and figure out what Jeremy's going for. I don't think I don't think he's legitimately sneaking his way into the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire so that he can post tweets that are anti-Semitic or racist or pushing an agenda of hatred and bigotry. I'm not convinced that that's what he's going for here. I could be wrong. He could be a CIA plant. But the Libertarian Party seems to attract him lately. And if there's anybody in this debacle that you want to call a CIA plant, do you think it's the guy who was tweeting controversial stuff and getting a bunch of attention for the party? Or do you think it's, the people who are trying to just at the stroke of a pen or what? They're trying to steal the party that was elected by you guys. What better way to disenfranchise everybody who just came into the party so that they could go to this convention and vote people in? They go to the convention, they vote people in, and then because the powers that be don't appreciate it, definitely not CIA plants either. The powers that be that don't appreciate it, they feel like they have the ability to just go, no more of that. You, chairperson, stay, and we'll bring these other people who lost the election back in, and we'll make our own party. Okay, that requires a little bit of a conversation, I would imagine. I don't know. I'm not going to wade too much into it. As things unfold, I'm sure we will get some new information, and shit's getting weird and getting real. And I'm going to be up in Porkfest in New Hampshire next week, so I'll probably be hearing a lot about this over the next week or so. So I don't need to exhaust it too much. I think the next LNC meeting is on Friday, something like that. So maybe you want to tune in. You can watch the one now. It's up on YouTube. All this stuff is public. You can go watch it and hear the 3 hours or so of people trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. And it appalls me how many people are defending the actions of this, let's call it an insurrection, let's call it a coup, let's call it a radical uprising, or what have, let's call it a takeover. The language that the Mises Caucus uses that everybody else says, oh, that's too aggressive, don't call it a takeover, that's too mean, right? But the takeover, quote unquote, has been explicitly stated that this is not like going against due process or going against how this stuff is structured to function. It isn't. But because they don't like the takeover idea, they are going to literally commit criminal acts to overthrow an election. The hypocrisy is staggering, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm not an authority on it, obviously, but maybe by the end of next week, I'll have enough information that I can come give a fuller rant. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that this cleared up some things with Jeremy. If you have any other questions for him, feel free to shoot him my way or shoot him his way. I speak with him on a semi-regular occasion. I don't know. We're in communication, and I don't see anything wrong with the guy. I don't see and for Mises Caucus people especially to be attacking this guy just because of some controversial tweets. It's like isn't that what you guys are fighting this entire time? Isn't that the uphill battle that you've been on since the beginning and railing against people, calling out people for mean tweets? I don't know. It makes my brain hurt. But thank you guys for watching and listening, and I hope that this cleared some stuff up, and you can see that he's not an inherent bigot. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to convince you that he is or isn't a bigot, because he's not out there calling for like genocide of anybody. There's some bad, poorly tasted tweets, but tweets are tweets, bro. And you either hate them or you love them. You decide. Does it make him any less of a decent person, any less of a libertarian? You decide. Let me know. Reach out at dan@tsidpod.com, or you can follow me at tsidpod on Twitter, where I get all the spiciness. I put out a meme about the stuff last night, which I don't think I can pull it up here, but look up the Alice in Wonderland meme. I'm pretty proud of that one. But guys, let me know what you think. Drop me a line, 309-716-3818. And if anything doesn't make sense, I can try and explain it to the best of my abilities. But there's plenty of other people out there talking about the same topic. Jeremy was just on Brian McWilliams' show on Lines of Liberty yesterday, Electric Liberty Land. We've got Break the Cycle with Josh Smith was talking about it with Mike Heiss. We've got Part of the Problem was talking about it with Mike Heiss. Dave Smith was talking about it with Mike Heiss. And Free Man Beyond the Wall with Pete Quinones was talking about it yesterday. And all these podcasters are talking about it because this is a big fucking deal. When you've got the Libertarian Party, just flagrant corruption on full display. If this is what it looks like, which it seems like it pretty clearly is what it looks like, then what is the point of the Libertarian Party at all? Like, how do we have any point if this corruption exists here? Like, what makes us any different than the others? Oh, because we're not in power, so we haven't had a chance to flex our corruption yet. We haven't had a chance to put it on full display yet. But when you see the stuff going on behind the scenes, just imagine if this person was in power of, like, something bigger than a party that few people care about. Imagine if, if Joe Bishop Henchman was faced with this conundrum, if he was chairman of the RNC or the GOP or whatever the hell you want to call it. Just imagine. Do you think it would be any different? Do you think that it's any different when they're challenged? Is it any different than the other parties, than the GOP or the DNC or what have you? No. Once you get that power, it corrupts. Obviously. Or you started out corrupt and that's how you got the power. I don't know. It's one or the other or both. Probably both. It's both. But thank you guys for listening. And please go join the Downers Club and you'll get all the bonus shit, including we did the Loki recaps. We did after party discussion with Travis yesterday and all sorts of fun stuff. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of bonus stuff coming out from PorkFest, some behind the scenes and stuff like that. So be on the lookout. Come see me at PorkFest. If you're going to PorkFest, hit me up and let me know that you're going to be there so I'm not alarmed when you approach me. But yeah, let's meet up and have a drink and hang out at PorkFest next week. Until then, question everything. Question everything. Even question your own damn party. Because, good God, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.